Hello everyone, and thank you for taking the time to check out my channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a TGI Fridays themed jailhouse burrito. Now it's super easy, crazy easy. If you know how to make a jailhouse burrito, you can make this thing. I mean, basically the idea is that you make a jailhouse burrito with chips that were put out by the TGI Fridays company. Now let me show you what I got here. TGI Fridays, mozzarella sticks. They're kind of puffy. I've never had them before. They're baked, it says, and they almost look like a cheese puff, kind of. These are going to be crazy easy to crush up. Then we also have what looks exactly like a cheese puff. This one is going to have a little bit of kick to it. Jalapeno poppers, snacks, cheddar cheese. They look like cheese puffs. Yep. So these are the chips that are going to be going into the jailhouse burrito. Then, of course, ramen, right? And we got our beef stick, which is a Slim Jim original. Alright, now first things first, as always, we're going to get our chips crushed up. Now I say this in every one of my videos, before you start crushing these up, you're going to want to make sure to pop the top of the bag open, because if you don't do that, the bag could pop. It could pop from the bottom, it could pop from the top. You're going to end up with chip dust everywhere. You don't want that. Oh God, the smell coming off of it. You could smell the jalapeno in these things. Ooh. Oh God, it's pungent. I don't know if you can see the little, I'm going to take one of these out of here before I start crushing these up and give you guys a little shot of this thing here. Look at that, you can see the spice on it. I can smell it from here. I'm a good 1.5 feet away from this chip. Cheese puff, whatever you want to call it. Now, we're going to go ahead and get these crushed up here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give you a shot of this here. I got them crushed up to where I want them. Pretty much as always, you're going to want everything to be a nice fine powder. But like I've said in some of my other videos, it's all to your liking. There's no set recipe for this stuff, as some people would like to believe. Oh, that's not the way you do it. You got to do it this way. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, who cares? As long as you like it. I mean, there's no set recipe for this stuff. We're going to go ahead and move on to the mozzarella sticks here. Alright, I think we have the mozzarella stick chips crushed up to where we want them. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Nice fine powder. A couple chunks in there, but no big deal. Next thing, we're going to move on to the ramen. We're going to open this up right away. And we're going to ditch the seasoning packet. Not going to need that at all, but again, it's all to your liking. If you want to add the seasoning packet to your jailhouse burrito, go ahead. Go nuts. Right? It's your burrito. Do what you want, right? Now, I can crush these up by hand too, but I like to use something laying around the house. Usually a Glade bottle. Now, as far as the ramen goes, I like to get it really good and crushed up. I don't like big ramen chunks being in there, like the ramen doesn't absorb the water that well when it's in clumps. I think this will work for what we're doing here. Let's go ahead and get a shot of it. I mean, look at this right here. That little clump right there, I don't like it like that. I like to get it smaller. What you're going to want to do is take the two different kinds of chip powder that you have and go ahead and add that all together. So we're going to take one bag and just dump the entire thing in there. And then you go ahead and fold the top down on the one that has all of the chip dust in there. Grab the bottom, fold the top, give it a good shake. That should be good enough. We're going to go ahead and add the ramen. Now that the ramen's in there, we're going to do the same thing. Top, bottom, give it a good shake. Alright, now I got that mixed in there. It's about as good as I'm going to get. You know it's good when you can't even hardly see the ramen noodles. You can tell they're in there, but you can't see too many of them. They're pretty well mixed in there. Alright, on to the next step. Okay, at this point you're going to want to go ahead and get your beef stick ready. Got the Slim Jim here. We're going to get that cut up to chunks about that big. That's where we're going to get them. Alright, we got this all cut up and ready to go. Now it's time to heat up our water and add it to the chip and ramen mix. Alright, I got about a cup of water here. I'm going to go ahead and microwave that up. Okay guys, now we have our piping hot water. Like I said, I got about a cup here. And I've said it before, and I'll say it a million more times, there is no measurement to this. Absolutely none. So we're just going to go ahead and add the amount that I want. And the basic idea is to get it to be sort of a wet mush, right? You don't want to add too much, you don't want to add too little. So what I like to do is I'll pour some in, push it around, and see if it's to where I want, and if not, then I add a little more. Okay, now here's a really good tip for you guys. When you're moving that water throughout the chips, and you really want to make sure that you get everything evenly coated, take the corners here and push those in. A lot of the time, you know, chips will just sit down here. That chip powder will just sit down there. It won't get covered by anything. So push the corners in, get that stuff moved all the way through. Okay, I got all the water in there that I'm going to use. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and get all of the beef sticks put in there. And then what you want to do is start moving everything around. You'll be able to feel those beef sticks in there through the bag. And you want to make sure that they get moved pretty evenly throughout the burrito, as much as you can anyways. Doesn't have to be perfect also. I mean, don't spend a ton of time. Well, unless you want to. But, you know, just letting you guys know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Some people, when they're making these, maybe not on the outside world, but on the inside, you know, when they're locked up, they have nothing but time. So, I mean, they'll try to get these things as perfect as possible. Time is not an issue, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Alright. I think I'm pretty happy with the way that they're in there. So, the next step is to go ahead and get it wrapped up in a towel. Now, you will see that I just laid out some paper towel on top of my towel. The water and whatnot that's on the inside of this bag, a lot of the time it'll have a tendency to kind of leak out on you. And I try not to mess up my towels, so that's what that is. So we're going to go ahead and roll this bag up. You want to keep everything as tight as you possibly can. Now, you know, I call this a jailhouse burrito. I get comments all the time. That looks more like a tamale. We call it a brick. Whatever. I'm calling it what I call it. So, keep everything as tight as you possibly can. Get it all wrapped up. And there we go. Now, you're going to want to let this sit for a little while. You know, I know some people let them sit for 15, 20 minutes. I've known people to let them sit for an hour or more. We're going to let this one sit for about 15, 20 minutes. And then we're going to go ahead and open her up. I'll show you guys what it looks like and we'll give it a taste. Alright guys, this thing has been in its towel for about 15 minutes. So go ahead and unwrap it, see how it looks. Well, as always, I'm going to show you just how dense this thing is. Listen. Yeah, that's pretty dense. Now, what I usually like to do is pinch one end of the bag here and then push the burrito out that way. And then just have it slide right on out of the bag. But for the purpose of getting a thumbnail here, I'm going to go ahead and rip the bag. And there it is, guys. Look at that. That turned out really, really well. It's got a good smell coming off of it. You can kind of smell the jalapeno popper chips. Not as much as before, but alright, let's go ahead and give this thing a shot. Look at that. I'm gonna try to get a little bit better of a view here. Look at that. You can see some of the Slim Jim poking through. Turned out really, really well. I'm going to use a spoon. You don't need to. This thing is pretty solid. You can just pick it up and eat it right out of the chip bag, but we're going to go ahead and use a spoon. Alright, let's go. TGI Fridays themed jailhouse burrito. Nice and firm. I want to make sure that I get some meat in the bite. You know what? I'm going to go for that bite right on the top where I know some beef stick is. Alright, going in. That is really, really tasty. Wow. It has some really good texture to it. Came out really nicely. Not too dry, not too wet in my opinion. And the chip mixture works together really, really well. Those two flavors are really, really good. Well, that's it for this video, guys. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy this thing off camera. I'm going to finish the whole thing here. Please take a second, like the video, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos, and as always, you guys have a great day.